Hey everybody, it's me, Dr. May here to talk about an aspect of mindfulness that's really helpful and important. This part of mindfulness is called urge surfing. Okay, it's an aspect of a mindfulness skill and it's employing mindfulness to help with your impulsive target behaviors. So come join me and we'll go over this together today. All right, so as usual, we'll do a quick review of what mindfulness is. So mindfulness is fully awake and embodied awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment. It has to do with focused attention, open awareness, and kind intention. Okay, so we're going to go over how mindfulness helps in this process of impulsive behaviors. So on the top of the screen, you might be familiar with this process of having an urge to do something and immediately going to the action. So if you feel like blurting something out, the action would be that you'd actually blurt it out and say it without even thinking, without any separation between the urge and the action. Just like those those rectangles are right next to each other. There's no space between them. So what happens with using mindfulness, which gives you more of a wise mind choice, is noticing the urge and putting that pause in between. So pausing, as we've talked about in other videos, is a really important first step for mindfulness. You need to pause first before you can start checking out the situation, observing, describing, and participating, and then finally making a wise action. So the second half of the screen here is associated with wise mind. All right, so for example, if I have an urge to hurt myself, instead of just running to do it, if I observe what that urge feels like and I step back from it and I think it through, maybe I could ask for help instead, or I could use a coping skill instead. And those could be action 2 or action 3. All right, so now I have a choice. Instead of having no choice at all, now I have a choice. Okay, so what does it mean to mindfully observe your urge? Well, if you remember from what skills, observe is one of the main what skills. So observe is tuning in at the level of pure sensation to see what this urge actually feels like. Okay, so one thing you can notice is, what is it that I feel like doing? What's the urge telling me to do? What action step is it trying to prompt me to do? What kinds of thoughts and images are coming up for me as I'm experiencing this urge? So maybe you're picturing that thing you want to do, or you're picturing how good it's going to feel, or you have some kind of like a thought or an image that goes with it. What emotions you're experiencing. So there could be an emotion that's driving the urge. So it might be trying to put you in motion, right? Because emotions usually have an action urge associated with it, right? So if I'm really angry and my anger is telling me to hit somebody, I might have that urge to hit somebody, right? So the emotion is connected to the whole process. Tune into what it feels like in your body. So all emotions and urges have a physical component. So tune in with curiosity and say, gee, what does it feel like? Sometimes I know I feel like there's a certain pressure forward that I feel like in my face and my chest, like it's urging me forward to do something, right? So that's one thing that I have observed. You might observe something different. You might observe a heart racing. You might observe a certain kind of tension or restlessness. Okay, so whatever it is you observe is okay. Just kind of notice it. All right, so here's a cool diagram. It combines the surfing metaphor. Okay, and if we remember that if we don't mess with the urge, if we don't act on it, and we don't try to keep it around by obsessing about it over and over again, the urge naturally passes. So it goes up and then it goes back down. And it's really interesting if you give it a chance and you don't act out on it when it gets to the peak of that curve, you'll actually learn to realize that it really does pass. And you'll trust that it's going to pass because you've had that personal experience of allowing it to pass. So when the urge starts to get strong, you won't feel as compelled to act on it as a way of making it go away. You'll trust that if you don't act on it, it naturally will go away. And that's really important, being able to trust that process and actually experience it and know it for yourself on a deep level. Because on an intellectual level, it may be hard to believe. And it may be hard to tolerate the uncomfortable feeling of the urge if you don't really believe it's gonna improve. But trust me on this one. Just like with emotions that will come and go if you don't mess with them, the same thing happens with urges to do target behaviors. Okay, so urge surfing, just to put it all together. So we're going to observe the way the urge feels from moment to moment, because it may not feel exactly the same right now as it will a minute or two from now. Things always are in the process of shifting and changing. Everything's impermanent. We could try breathing through the uncomfortable sensations. So noticing where in your body it feels the strongest, and imagine your breath going to that spot and breathing out some of that feeling, and it starts to loosen it up a little bit. Reminding yourself of that diagram and that it will pass and it won't last forever, right? Because when we think it lasts forever, we feel more compelled to act. And of course, get support if necessary. All right, reach out to someone you trust, and maybe they could help you through it if you really feel like you can't do it on your own. Sometimes you might have to do it on your own, but other times, we can work with each other to help. Okay, so here's a little practice, all right, just so you can see how it works. So these are things that we all do every single day. Notice the urge to swallow. Just sit quietly until you have the urge to swallow, but try not to swallow. Just try to notice what it feels like, what you're experiencing emotionally, what the physical urge is doing to you, but try not to swallow anyway. Okay, I know eventually you will, because we all need to, but if you could do this for a couple of minutes, you'll get the sense of like how the urge surfing practice can work. All right, another version of that, which kind of might happen a little bit faster because it's really hard to hold on to this for a long time, is to open your eyes and try not to blink, but notice the urge to blink and what that feels like in your eyes, or what that emotional experience is like. And, try to hold it out as long as you can, but when you blink, it's over, but that's okay. You could always try it again. All right, so those are just two like mini practices you could try just to get a flavor of the urge surfing. But of course, the ultimate goal is to do it for target behaviors that you're working on, okay? And you know what those are. All right, so that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward skill, and you just gotta try it. You just gotta practice it. So give it a chance, check it out, and I hope it works for you. All right, thanks guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.